Play that song, Orlando Magic fans. They got a much-needed win last night, 113-93 over the lowly New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans moved to 18-49 on the year. The Magic are now 31-36. They are the 8th seed officially in the Eastern Conference as they move towards the play-in. Guys, we're going to be talking about this win. It was a big win. It was more of a much-needed win rather than a big win. We're going to talk about the players' performance, see what everybody said in the postgame, as well as look forward to tonight. The Magic are on a back-to-back. They play Minnesota at Minnesota tonight. We're going to be previewing that game as well. So, welcome into the channel. I'm your host, Patrick Previty. This is Magic Digest, your one-stop shop for Orlando Magic basketball content here on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. We're at 909, I believe. Trying to get to 1,000, hopefully by the end of this month or sometime in April. Guys, 75% of you who are watching these videos aren't subscribed, so join the 25%. Support the channel. Let's take a look at the box score. Last night, it was a very elite showing from Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Paolo has been playing extremely well as of late, ever since the allegations of him being washed have come out. Maybe not that true superstar. He certainly turned things around. He shot really well from the floor, 14 of 22, 4 of 8 from 3. That's something that we definitely like. 34 points on the game. Franz Wagner, equally as effective. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, doing it all. 11 of 17 from the field. Last night was also the first game since detailed play-by-play began in 1996 to 1997 season that 2 Orlando Magic players scored at least 20 points in the first half. Obviously, you can guess it. Franz and Paolo had 20 at half. At half, the Magic led 68-38. They had a lead with 9.5 minutes to go in the first quarter that they never relinquished. It was truly a wire-to-wire victory for the Magic. Very important win for this team as they needed to get back on track. They had a couple days since their loss on Monday, and it was just one of those things where maybe you could bring this team together on a back-to-back on a road trip. And they certainly got the first one. And yes, it was against the Pelicans. Let's take a look at what they did. They obviously are at a way different spot than a lot of other teams in the NBA, ones that are especially looking for playoffs and for postseason play. The Pelicans, like I mentioned, are under 20 wins. Zion was their only effective player last night. He had 20 points, 8 of 15 from the floor. And under 30 minutes of play. This game was over before it even started, so CJ McCollum didn't really get going. Everybody else was kind of rendered non-effective and a non-factor for the game. The Magic shot 51.8% from the field and committed just 8 turnovers. That is not going to be a recipe to beat a team if you're the Pelicans. So at a completely different point in their potentially rebuild than the Magic are. So while this win is important to get back on track for the Magic, it's really nothing more than that. But still, in my opinion, does get into that big win category just because, man, this team was really slumping, like really, really bad. So it was awesome to see this team kind of get it together finally. As I mentioned, 52% from the field for the Magic, 39% from the three-point line, 13 of 33. The Pelicans had a terrible shooting night. They were 44% from the field, 28% from the 3, 7 of 25 from 3. That was just not going to be any sort of recipe, as I mentioned earlier. You're making a lot of recipes today for success. The Pelicans were not able to crack that code, and that kind of looked like a Magic box line a little bit there. So when the Magic shoot well, don't commit turnovers, they do really well. Let's take a look at what some of the players said in the postgame. A lot of great stuff, a lot of great sound. We'll start with Jamahl Mosley. Not a player, the coach. The energy, the spirit, and the togetherness was exactly what we talked about over these past 2 days. Obviously, I mentioned just a second ago that this team wanted to gather themselves after the loss on Monday, and over the next couple of days before they ended up taking on the Pelicans, get their act together. Well, it seems like they did. They had a very productive practice on Wednesday. There was media availability, and they were talking about just getting away from everything and being able to lock in a sense. They all knew that they needed to play better top to bottom, and that is exactly what they did. Jamahl Mosley led the way with that. All right, let's take a look at what Franz Wagner said. I mentioned the 8 turnovers committed by the Orlando Magic. That is practically nothing, right? Well, Franz Wagner said getting out in transition was something that was super important. For us too, it's easier when we can go and get out in transition. It can get some easy points like that. He's referencing him and Paolo Banchero. It's easier to lead the way whenever you're not doing everything in the half-court sets and whenever you're able to get out into transitions. The Pelicans had 21 points conceded off of turnovers yesterday. So that was obviously a big point of emphasis for the Magic. They had less fast break points the Magic did, but it just felt like they were getting and going and getting into their offensive rhythm. All right, let's take a look at also what Paolo Banchero said. Right, he had a big game yesterday, but he wanted to also shout out Corey Joseph, who, if you did peep in the box score, he did play a little bit last night, and he started. And that was something that was different about what you might usually see from this team. He said in reference to Corey Joseph, he's grateful for every moment he has on the court. He lets us know that, and it just shows you that we're all blessed to play this game. Obviously, we kind of dog on some of these players sometimes. We're thinking like, oh man, we got Gary Harris out there. Corey Joseph isn't part of the future plans. We want to see Anthony Black in the starting lineup or something like that. Obviously, Cole Anthony missed yesterday's game with his left toe injury, and we're thinking like, why are these guys out there? Why are we seeing them? Well, it just shows that this team is still together. They are still listening to the head coach, and I still think he's got the ear of the locker room. And despite him and all of the shortcomings Jamahl Mosley has, he put Cole Anthony in the lineup, and Cole Anthony played well yesterday. Or excuse me, Corey Joseph played well yesterday. Had 12 points, 4 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from the field. Obviously, he wants to be out there and continue to play. Longtime Spur. So that was great to hear, great to see. As I mentioned earlier as well, Paolo Banchero has been playing extremely good basketball as of late, and you're really starting to see an uptick in his averages. Last time we took a look at this graphic was the last video I made. He was at 31% from the three-point line. That's going up. His numbers pretty much across the board as well are following that same direction. 25 points per game, I'm around that up. 7 boards and 5 assists. Those are great numbers. Since the All-Star break, he's starting to really get some national attention, and rightfully so. He's playing extremely good basketball. He is the leader, along with Franz Wagner, of this team, and one of the guys that we can rely on night in and night out. And he finally seems to be fully healthy and back from his injury. So that is just awesome to see. So other notes from this game, Bitadze only played 5 minutes and obviously didn't record any notable stats. That was late in the game. And it seemed like Jamahl Mosley, after Bitadze's bad game against the Rockets the other night, was going to go with Jonathan Isaac, was going to go with Wendell Carter Jr., and leave it at that. Gary Harris did not play. That was a coach's decision. And Jet Howard did not have a good game yesterday as well. Anthony Black played 18 minutes, but was more as like a he didn't really like have a ton of impact on this game, but I thought for the 18 minutes that he was there, 6 points, 2 assists, a couple of shots, a couple of threes. That was, in my opinion, a very productive outing for him. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope kind of back in the swing of things. 12 points, 5 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3. Whenever the 3 is falling for most of these players, they're pretty good, right? Like, I mean, that's a very obvious sentence, but I just feel like it solves a lot of this team's issues, and we know that. All right, taking a look at what is going to happen tonight. Well, the injury report remains the same. We still got Cole Anthony as a game-time decision. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as well is going to be a game-time decision. He seems to probably be leaning towards resting, but we're not going to know until further on in the day for both of those. So they're officially listed as questionable for tonight's game at Minnesota. But that would be a huge win to be able to build up some momentum, get a back-to-back win streak going there, and then maybe they would be able to parlay that into something in the future. Obviously, there is a huge game coming up for this team as we look further ahead. Talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, but we'll just have to stand on the fence. Not a huge, monumental, franchise-changing win, but a much-needed win occurred last night. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much once more. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time with more Orlando Magic basketball content.